A long time ago, when I was working out in the Outer Hebrides at Benbecula Airport, I was driving back one day. The journey was quite a long one, therefore, by the time I had got to the castle here, it was getting late in the evening. So I started off during daylight from Benbecula Airport, and then I drove north on the Hebrides 40 miles to get to Lochmaddy. Then you'd hang around for a while driving a Nissan Micra, and I would then get on the ferry from Lochmaddy. It'd take about 2.5 hours to get across the Minch to Uig on Skye. Then I would drive across Skye 50 miles on a windy road to get to Kyleakin. Then I got on another ferry, and this would take me across to Kyle of Lochalsh. Then I start heading south for a while along Kintail, with the Kintail Ridge way up on my left, and I would then start going across towards the east along Loch Cluny. Eventually, after about another 50 miles, I would get to Invermorrison. At Invermorrison Junction, I'd take a left, start heading north to Drumnadrochit, eventually getting to Inverness. By that time, it was into the evening, and it was a moonlit night. So as I came up towards Urquhart Castle on the banks of Loch Ness there, I thought, oh, it's very interesting. I can see the moon shining, reflecting on the water, and I maybe take an opportunity to get a picture here. I was using a film camera, an Olympus OM4, and there wasn't a big parking area for buses and coaches and all that sort of thing, as there is now. No visitor centre, just a very basic little car park. So I parked there probably about 8 o'clock in the evening, and thought, oh, great atmosphere here, nice and calm. And I headed down the bank. There was no steps or anything built at that point, so I was just wandering in the dark. I couldn't really see myself, my feet or anything. It was pitch black, but I could see the castle all lit up. So I brought a tripod with me, and I started to set up my camera on a tripod and set some time exposures. And I could do this pretty much blindfolded. I didn't have to see anything because I was familiar enough with the tripod, my camera, to set it up in the pitch black, and I couldn't really be seen. There was nothing lighting me up as a person. So I found myself standing in silence in the dark, and I was taking some time exposures to try and get a nice movement in the water, some atmosphere and the clouds, but keep the castle sharp. And but I could hear all these eerie voices, and they were echoing around, and it was conversations going on. It was like people whispering different conversations, and they were just flying around the air, across the water and the land. Many different conversations of people speaking, and I thought, I wonder where these voices are coming from. They seem to be almost trapped in the air. It could have been coming from little houses or villages or things around there and travelling over the water because of the atmosphere. But it sounded like I was really in a crowd of whispers. What sort of voices? And quite eerie in a way. It's like I was eavesdropping into some other type of time. I was standing there, and the whole thing took about an hour as I set my camera up and trying to get the right conditions. But all this time, this constant chit-chat of all the voices that were floating around in the air. Never saw anybody, and I was completely isolated because there was no pathway down and no stairs, no visitors set up. That was all built a few years later. Somebody standing on the earth, on the ground, with my camera, pitch black, listening to these whispering voices and taking some time exposures, 5 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, just to see what type of effect it would have. In those days, without a digital viewfinder, you didn't really know what was happening. You'd find out later when you get your film developed. So you were always trying to save film because you only had maybe 24 or 36 shots at it, and you would never see the result, and until a week or so later. So that was the story behind this. And then later on, I painted the picture of what I photographed. So this is a painting now.